Broadcasting on the internet airwaves from the great state of Minnesota. My name is Shaun, and you're listening to The Shaun Tabatt Show. Well, this is Shaun Tabatt from The Shaun Tabatt Show, coming to you live from NRB 2016 in Nashville. I have a guest with me this morning that I want you all to meet. Her name is Ginger Sanders, and she's written a couple of books that we're going to be talking about today. So first off, Ginger, tell us a bit about yourself and your background.
Hello, Shaun. It's good to be here with you all today. I am a chaplain with the Billy Graham Rapid Response Team, and I will be honest with you, I did not ever expect to be called to be an author. God just did not put that on my scope. But being out with the Billy Graham team, we have seen things that only God could have orchestrated. In the midst of disasters, whether it's hurricane, tornadoes, floods, or even shootings such as Sandy Hook or the Aurora Theater, God was there. He showed up. And it encourages me to see these things and to see the hope that it gave other people. So I would journal and I would write these stories down just as not only a release for me, but a praise to God. And after I got so many of these stories written down and I was really looking at it, seeing how God had encouraged me, I felt the need and the urge from God to share these stories with others. I must be honest with you, I tried to get the Billy Graham folks to publish these books, and for them, I said, I'll give you the stories, and they kept telling me, no, Ginger, these are your stories, but they're not my stories, they're God's stories. So I published the book, it's He Goes Before Us, and it is all about God and how He intervened in people's lives. And I hope that other people will be encouraged and see the hope that God gives. I would like to share this. Some people say that they have had near-death experiences. And Shaun, I don't discredit those at all because I too believe in life after death. But with these stories, and He Goes Before Us, in this book, it lets people know you don't have to be dead to see God working in a life. And He encourages people. We have seen marriages brought back together. In the book, there's a story about a young man who was going to attempt suicide and called his mother to tell her goodbye, and how God intervened. So there are many stories, and I hope to encourage each and every one that reads this. And there's even a page, if you don't know Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, how that you can be sure that you're going to heaven.
Some of the things I'm really excited about, before the interview, we were talking about that you knew you were supposed to write something, but you were resisting God on that. And the other thing that's really interesting to me is you have a book that's geared more towards an adult audience, and that's He Goes Before Us. And you also have a book that's geared towards a children's audience, and that's called Round Eyes. I don't meet a lot of authors who operate in both of those genres. I mean, they are diverse and unique, each in their own right. So tell us about the call to writing that eventually you were willing to embrace, but how you resisted that, and contrast the experience of what it was like to do a book that's geared towards an adult audience, but also to turn around and also do a children's book.
Well, I'd never felt called to be an author in both of these books because they're both based on God's stories. They're true stories in all the books. But the story about the children's book is about our adopted son when he first realized he looked different than Mommy and Daddy. And God gave me the story a long time ago, and I just tucked it in my heart. I still don't feel like I'm an author. These are God's stories, and He just allowed me to pen them. The adult book is geared for adults to be encouraged and to give hope and peace and comfort. And the same with the children's book. It is to give hope and peace to children who may not know why they look different than other people. And it could be for a Down syndrome child. It could be for an internationally adopted child like our son was. But in any of the cases, both books, it still shows God's love. And I have another book coming out in about 2 months, and the name of it is Fireflies. And it is also based on a true story about the death of a child and how his big brother can accept and learn about death. And it does. It shares death and grief with children. And it explains how God's presence can be there with them to help them to overcome that period of time.
Well, and as you think about these 3 writing projects that you've mentioned today, for you, is there a common thread or a call to action? You know, I often wonder when I speak with an author, When somebody gets to that last page of the book, or when a parent finishes reading Round Eyes to their children, what's the call to action? How should they be changed? How would you like to see them move forward after engaging with your content?
I would love to know that they have some peace. John 10:10 says, I come to give you life, and there's a big comma, and then it's a more abundant life. And a lot of Christians, even today, want to lay in that comma. I call it the hammock. But the more abundant life, that's where I want people to see, is God came not only to give you peace and hope, but to give you that abundant life. And once you have that abundant life in Him, you know you can go on. And we go out to encourage other people, and we come back and we're the ones that are encouraged. But with Round Eyes, it allows the children to understand that it's okay to be different. And the common thread in all of it is God's love. Jeremiah 29:11, Deuteronomy 31:8, do not be afraid, for I know He goes before us. All of those things is God's love is the common thread through all three books.
Now, Ginger, if listeners are interested in finding out more about you and your various writing projects, where are some of the best places that they can go to find you on the web?
They can go to the website, gingersanders.com. They can find me on Facebook as Ginger Sanders, and I'm also on Twitter as @GingerSanders. So just my name out there, but it's not about me. It's all about giving God the glory, and that's what the website says, giving God glory.
Well, and if any of you listeners are interested in finding out more about Ginger and her books, I'll include links to all the books, links to her website and social media in the show notes for this episode. As always, you can find that at ShaunTabatt.com. And Ginger, it's been a great pleasure speaking with you today. Thanks so much for sharing with us.
Thank you, Shaun. It's been awesome to be here with you and to see God's presence in this place.
And that's all for this episode of the Shaun Tabatt Show. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion, you can connect with me via email using show@ShaunTabatt.com. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, where I go by the Twitter handle @STabatt. And if you enjoy the show, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. Until next time, this is your host, Shaun Tabatt, signing off.